The Return of the Mount Hua Sect, Chapter 126. The Sword of Mount Hua is strong. The current Mount Hua has lost its former light, but Mount Hua once shone brighter than any other sect. Your father has lived his life in pride as a member of Mount Hua. Go. Dressed in Mount Hua's uniform, Cheongmyeong was gulping down alcohol. Alcohol tastes the best! Mount Hua is prestigious. That prestige was not earned without a great history. It took the blood and sweat of countless ancestors before it touched glory and gained noble status. Some meat for me. Give it here, please, Sayong. There's nothing left for me to eat. You already ate your own. Don't covet others' foods too. If you don't want your hands cut off, then keep them to yourself. You're so selfish. Although Mount Hua is suffering now, it will resurrect and spread its name throughout the world again one day. So, you must not make the mistake of only looking at Mount Hua's current state. It would be best if you thought of the future as well. Protect Mount Hua. Then the day will come when Mount Hua protects the Hua Sect, and we will ascend together. Coming down from Mount Hua makes me feel alive. Sasuke is still here. Be careful what you say, you brat. It's fine. I'm sure that Sasuke is thinking the same thing I am right now. No, I feel like I'm going to die staying with you. What a joke! I wish I was joking. Wei Lip-san had a pleasant smile as he watched the disciples of Mount Hua who greedily coveted alcohol and meat while cursing at each other. I want to show this to my father. And he would ask, what prestige? Resurrection? Look, Mount Hua is doomed, father. And horribly so. Wei Lip-san pressed down the pain rising in his belly. Since earlier, he had been experiencing a sharp stomachache like a nail had been driven deep into his core. Yet, this sight before him seemed to hurt even more. Unable to bear this sight any longer, Wei Lip-san coughed and attracted the attention of Mount Hua's disciples, who all turned to look at him in unison. Cheongmyeong sighed and offered Wei Lip-san a bottle of alcohol. Would you like to drink? He's in recovery. Didn't he have internal injuries? Think before you speak. Think. No, you bastards. And it grew noisy once again. At the same time, Wei Lip-san's stomach began to ache even worse. A name and its pride die first. When he visited Mount Hua 10 years ago with Wei Soheng in his arms, Wei Lip-san could feel the nobility and pride emanating from Mount Hua despite its collapse. But whatever the hell happened over the past decade, Mount Hua's disciples have grown rotten. They're far from the prestigious and noble image he'd previously experienced. Instead of Wei Lip-san, Yeonpyeong, who was standing next to him, spoke. Look here. Yes? Do you understand just what kind of situation we're in? Baekchun stood up and he bowed his head slightly. I'm sorry. These guys are a bit free-spirited. Wei Lip-san sighed. I'm not going to blame you. Thanks to you, we earned an extra day of time. But disciple Baekchun, now we have to make a decision. Decision? It's not easy to set aside everything and leave the home that I love. But now that the things have come to this, there seems to be no other way. The Hua Sect will give up on Nanyang and retreat. So please listen and return to Mount Hua. Sect leader. Baekchun had a complex look on his face. I know things got a little out of line. That's not it. If it was any opponent other than Wudang, I would have stayed and endured to the end. But you don't know what it means to stand against the Wudang sect. Since they've sent their disciples, isn't it clear that their sect is trying to take over Nanyang? Even if you manage to stop them this time, the same thing will happen again. Cheongmyeong poured himself a glass of alcohol and drank it in one gulp. And he spoke to Wei Lip-san. I was going to ask you about that anyway. Yes? What's so great about this place? They're acting way too aggressively for this place. The Wudang that Chongmyung remembered didn't operate like this. Wudang was one of the most dignified and respected sects in the world. They were the type that would chant their sutras until death. Of course, a lot of time had passed since Chongmyung died, but the fundamental nature of a sect doesn't change that easily. Would the Wudang sect really use such extreme measures just to spread their influence in Nanyang? There's gotta be something happening here. Great. Yes. There's nothing like that. If there was anything great here, would people have left Nanyang alone till now? I see. He didn't get the answer he hoped for, but Chongmyung wasn't disappointed. If Wei Lipsan had any information, it would probably already be widespread. Information that Wei Lipsan didn't know was more meaningful. If this doesn't work, then I can just rip the truth from those Wudang bastards. Rather, you should all head back to Mount Hua as soon as the sun rises tomorrow. I will take care of the rest. What? That's impossible. Impossible? Yes, sect leader told us to solve the Hua sect's problem. If we leave the Hua sect and let it get kicked out of Nanyang, our sect leader would sigh to himself and refuse to even see us for at least 3 months. Wow, I can't even imagine that. I sympathize with you, Sahyung. Yunjong and Joel trembled, not wanting to imagine it. Look, this is no joke. We aren't joking either. As Wei Lipsan was about to lose his temper, Chongmyung cut in and spoke with a firm voice. Mount Hua has not forgotten the grace the Hua sect has shown us. Wei Lipsan's eyes trembled. Unlike before, there was a serious light in Chongmyung's eyes. Wei Lipsan was instantly overwhelmed by Chongmyung's poise. Now's the time for Mount Hua to repay the Hua sect. Mount Hua never betrays its ideals. The world will know that clearly. Wei Lipsan nodded his head without realizing he had been swept up in the momentum. Chongmyung, the one known as Mount Hua's divine dragon. Wei Lipsan began to think that he might have judged Chongmyung too easily in the morning. But before that, yes, I have a favor to ask, sect leader. Wei Lipsan nodded his head. Say it. I will get anything I can procure. Then, Chongmyung shook the bottle in his hand. If there's any alcohol left in the Hua sect, please give me a bottle. No, at least 3. Huh? You don't have any? No. Maybe Wei Lipsan had judged him properly the first time. All the preparations are done, disciple Jinhyun. Jinhyun nodded his head. You worked hard. Just 1 more day and this damn work will finally be over. It's been tough. This role doesn't fit my character. Jinhyun smiled. We are fully aware of how hard you've worked. When this work is done, the sect leader will surely show you favor back in the main sect. Oh, don't say that. How could I dare hope for that? If there's some help for the training hall, that's all I could hope for. Jinhyun smiled and nodded. It didn't matter if his words were sincere or not. This training hall leader wasn't important at all. Even if he refuses, the Wudang sect would still reward him, and that would be the end of his role. By now, Mount Hua has to be trembling. Well, they were quite proud yesterday. Wasn't that just a bluff? Can Mount Hua even put up a fight against Wudang? I bet there isn't even a single ant remaining within the Hua sect. Isn't that why Jinhyun gave them a day's time? Jinhyun smiled softly and didn't respond. You must be exhausted from the long journey. I shouldn't waste your time here. No. Have a good rest. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Jinhyun sighed as the training hall leader left. Sahyung. Sahyung. Jinhyung's Saje, Jinmu, called him. Did Sahyung expect Mount Hua to come? I didn't, but the sect leader mentioned the possibility. It's difficult to follow the sect leader's insight. He's a man that stands so far above that when he looks down, he sees the heavens. Right. Jinhyun quietly nodded his head. What do you think, Sahyung? As the hall leader said, do you think that the Hwa sect would run away tonight? The Hwa sect can. Jinhyun continued calmly, but the disciples of Mount Hua cannot. Why not? Because they've recently gained fame. Ah! Jinhyun smiled. Normally, people don't grow overly attached to a reputation that has been rightfully built. But when they get more fame than they deserve, they tend to become obsessed with it. Perhaps Mount Hua's divine dragon will be unable to let go. If he runs away after such light provocation, he'll become the laughingstock of the whole world. But wouldn't his reputation suffer anyway if he stays and get defeated? Jinhyun's eyes narrowed. Are you saying that losing to me would be a shame to him? I didn't mean that, Sayoung. Jinhyun smiled and patted Jinwoo on the back. I'm just joking. Why wouldn't they wait? Losing is less shameful than running away. It would be good for them to learn some shame. They don't seem to understand the concept. That is true. Jinhyun smiled as Chungmyung's face surfaced in his mind. That cheeky bastard. Jinhyun understood. Having gained such a reputation at a young age, he must not put others in his sights. There was a time when Jinhyun also shrugged his shoulders and arrogantly overlooked others because of his fame. Wasn't it the role of the elders to cull that behavior? If they don't know, all we need to do is let them understand. Of course, but Jinhyun spoke with a firm expression. We shouldn't focus too much attention on that. You haven't forgotten our true purpose in coming here, right? Yes, Sayoung, I haven't forgotten for even a single moment. Something that even the other Sajes didn't know. Only Jinhyun and Jinwoo knew about it. The reason the two of them knew was to prepare for an unforeseen situation. Otherwise, it was something that Jinwoo shouldn't have known. The Hua Sect and Mount Hua are fine. What's most important is to draw people's attention away from Nanyang. If this goes well, we will be able to rise above the Shaolin sect and stand at the peak of the world. I'll keep that in mind. Jinhyun turned to look out the window. The moon floating high above and the stars that shone in the sky reflected in his eyes. Sword tomb. The tomb of a sword. That was why they created a fake subsect and came all this way out here. First, we drive those Mount Hua bastards out of Nanyang, and then we'll slowly proceed with the plan. Yes, Sayoung. A low smile formed on Jinhyun's lips. Soon, the world would be under the Wudang sect's feet. It was a night of deep conspiracy.